coach goes up to, he goes to Ray and he's like, my boys are good. They didn't mean anything by it. They didn't know what they were doing. Like basically, I'll take on the debt. Leave them alone. They're just boys. They're being stupid. And that shows you the type of person he is too. He'll take the brunt of it. Just leave the other guys out of it. They're his responsibility. And don't hold them to it. It's my fault, basically. And that's how he kind of gets involved with everything.
Let's talk about Hugh Grant's character for a second.
Yeah, he's such an asshole.
Yeah, Fletcher.
Like a prick. Yeah.
Oh, Fletcher.
You greedy little cunt.
So Fletcher ends up being figuring out everything about Mickey, and he comes to Ray, who is Charlie Hunnam's character, and basically tells him all this stuff he has against them, and that he's gonna go basically release it to the media if they don't do what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's basically roughly the entire plot, and Hugh Grant as Fletcher really kind of narrates everything, and I think he also says some pretty racist, like slanderous stuff towards people. So you could also say that because he's the one narrating it, this older man, even though he's clearly gay, is why there's like this like racial tension throughout this.
Yeah.
Throughout everything. But yeah, going back to his character, he did an amazing job because he's playing against. Hugh Grant is somebody through the years who has been severely typecast, right? And this one, they finally give him something like of substance and something new to do, and he is so much fun to watch, especially that he's like aggressively flirting with Charlie Hunnam for the entire film, pretty much.
Yeah. When Charlie's like, I'm gonna go to bed now, you can leave, and he's like, can I join you? Yeah. He's like, I'll just be in the corner wanking off. I'm like, what the heck? Extremely aggressive.
Fletcher is trying to get up on Ray, and then it turns out that Ray had been surveillancing Fletcher the entire time. And
I love when he's like, he's like, Fletcher, you're good. You're really good. He's like, but me, I'm better. And it shows a scene where, like, Fletcher is in the bushes with, I forget what it's called. The camouflage bush, like attire with his camera. And freaking Raymond or Ray is literally like 2 feet from him watching him. Like in the same exact bush, but and he's like, but I'm better. And I was like, oh my god, this whole time Ray has been playing Fletcher while Fletcher thinks he has the upper hand on all of them. I thought that was an amazing plot twist towards the end. But yeah, man, I thought that was an amazing little scene. I wasn't expecting that.
Or one of the other big standout scenes, or a subplot in the movie, is where a close friend of Mickey asks him to basically go and find his runaway daughter, right, in the city.
Yeah.
And so Mickey's like, Ray, I want you to go. You're my right-hand man. I only trust you. I need you to go. And Ray goes, all right, reluctantly. So he goes, and he brings like two of his big pals, and I think they find the flat that the girl's supposedly staying in. And so Ray politely, he goes up and knocks on the door, and is trying to talk to this guy, and this kind of tweaker looking dude answers the phone, and he's just like, oh, like, are you the police? Like, what do you want? And Ray's just kind of casually like, hey, I just want to come inside and talk for a few minutes, and then I'll be on my way, all right? And of course the guy is like, fuck off or whatever, and doesn't let him in.
Yeah.
So then Ray has his buddies come, and they have one of those huge, I forget what the word is, but they break in the door, and they go inside real casual like, and they do in fact find Mickey's friend's daughter there, and
Laura.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he's like, hello, Laura. And she's like, hey, Ray.
Like she already knows what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gives, Ray gives this kind of big monologue, and he's like, okay, Laura, so what do you think? Like, you want to go back home now? And she's like, all right, fuck it. Like, let's go. Really easy. But then her friends that she was with, or that were keeping her captive, or whatever was happening, these junkies are like, no, she's not going anywhere, and they try to like fight with these clearly bigger dudes, which is crazy.
Yeah, they're like gigantic. They're the muscle.
Yeah,
they're huge.
And it's important to point out that Ray knew everybody in the room except for this Russian kid, Asian.
Yeah, Asian, something like that. Yeah.
And
because he's the one who knows who Mickey Pearson is.
So I think Asian tries to attack somebody or try to help stop Laura from leaving, and he gets by one of Ray's guards. He gets accidentally pushed off the balcony and falls to his death. And then we find out later that he was the son of a prolific Russian gangster, who then, because of going back to Fletcher sells the information about Mickey and Ray to the Russians, and so they know exactly where they live, which plays big into the ending of the film. But it was unfortunate for all these characters, much like all Guy Ritchie films, like little mistakes or stuff that goes wrong, and it kind of has the snowball effect towards the end of the film.
And that's when that is when Colin Farrell's character actually saves Ray, because he finds out that Fletcher tells him everything. He's like, I sold the information. I'm a shitty guy, so of course I told him, who was involved, for $20,000 or whatever. And then he, Coach actually sees the Russians breaking into Ray's house from the side, and he ends up killing both of them, saving Ray. And I think that's when, Ray's basically like, now, like, Coach is, I think he kind of signals to him, like, going, like, kind of like, you owe me, basically. Where were we at from there? Oh, and that's when Jeremy Strong's character is basically found out that he's been working with Dry Eye the whole time, trying to basically make Mickey Pearson's profit go down.
Yeah, like he was yet another twist that he was fucking with him that entire time as well.
So speaking of Jeremy Strong, or Matthew in the film, what did you how did you like his character? Did you think he played it well?
He was one of the more reserved characters.
Yeah.
From what I remember, he doesn't do too much, as opposed to just kind of looming in the back. I think he is supposed to be presumed to be gay as well. Is that correct?
You could. I would say I got that impression as well, or it could just be his demeanor. I don't know, but yeah, I took it that way as well. But he's definitely the. I feel like he was the guy, like you said, in the shadows, kind of using other people to kind of ruin Mickey Pearson's business,
or orchestrating everything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. Even though I think Henry Golding's character was kind of written like we talked about, kind of in a shitty way, kind of. But I enjoyed his character. I think that was probably one of the bigger roles that he had before he started to gain his like the stardom that he has now, kind of. Playing Snake Eyes and stuff.
Yeah, because he was
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, he was coming off Crazy Rich Asians, and I'm sure he was like super excited to just be alongside all of these dudes. And for his for what he does in the movie, he's really good. You know what I mean? And again, he has great fashion, like his little leopard, slip-on shoes were awesome. They show how that, going back to what you're saying about the double bubble thing, where they're like trafficking people in some way, right? In these shipping,
that's what Dry Eye was doing that. Shipping
containers and one of the guys, like, he goes up to check on the people and he's like, all right, holds them down and let's get this moving or whatever. Very cold and calculated. And then one of the guys that works for him is like, oh, sorry, like I undercharged you. It's gonna have to be double bubble. And that's what Henry Golding's character.
He's like, oh, you're gonna have to, either you are or your family's gonna pay for that.
Yeah, but he's like, double bubble. It's just like mocking him. So yeah, a lot, like, his little mannerisms and things were pretty enjoyable. I was just kind of upset the way that his character kind of plays out, but you know. He also, Dry Eye is kind of doing all this crazy shit behind the scenes where,
like taking out his uncle.
Well, he's trying to like do all this stuff behind, like, to get Mickey's pot farm essentially, and he makes he pretty much puts his uncle under the microscope for everybody else, and then causes Mickey to go see Dry Eye's uncle, and they like poison him and do all this crazy shit.
That was it. That was crazy. That scene was
very unexpected.
Yeah, I was not expecting that projectile vomit.
Yeah. And it goes on for a little bit. He's like, you will shit yourself and die unless you take you take these
2 tablets and drink this. You'll be fine in an hour or 2. Yeah, that was gnarly.
And then, so of course, we find out after that Dry Eye was trying to infiltrate everything, and he used his uncle as like kind of like a pawn, I guess you would say. And then his uncle's not down with that, and they have like this kind of discussion, and then Dry Eye pretty much has his uncle murdered so that he can kind of take over everything, and he kind of loses his mind and gets too greedy and goes over the edge, and he ends up
I think that's his downfall.
Yeah,
just the greediness.
Yep,
that's what was the end of him.
Because then he goes after Rosalind, Mickey's wife, and you know, and she happened to have, they go to her because she's like runs this big fancy garage.
She for imports and stuff.
Yeah, and they have a meeting. They go up to basically have a meeting with her, and she can tell that something's not right, and they're going to try to do something. But she happens to have one of those little paperweight pea shooters that was gifted to Mickey by somebody else earlier in the film. And,
it was by Jeremy or Matthew, I mean.
Yeah. And you know, the guys don't really take it seriously, and they don't really think that it's loaded, and then she shoots 2 of Dry Eye's bodyguards in the head, and it's pretty gnarly looking because it takes them a while to register that they've been shot.
Yeah, because the bullets are so tiny.
Yeah, they're like looking around for a while.
He touches his forehead and he's like, "Oh, there's blood on my finger." And then he's like, and then he starts looking around, and then he fucking he passes out and dies.
But yo, she warned him so many times. Like,